All right, everybody, let's get to it. For a Monday, let's start. Thanks. Actually, I should have had that cranked up even a little bit more. How's everybody doing today? Let's get started. Quick shout out, everyone in the chat. What's going on? You know, Kyle, you're always that first person in. How do you do that? What's going on? Hello, Miss Stephanie. I know. I will call you today. Okay. We will connect this afternoon and take care of some business. Thank you so much. Javi. Hey, Mr. Rana, please contact me. We have been trying to get a hold of you regards your software. Please, Mr. Rana, please come to the customer service desk and respond about your software. Yep. Everybody else, Mr. Lodek, what's going on? You didn't get your book? Let me say this. Amazingly, someone just posted that they received a book and it was almost, oh, it was easily 6 weeks. International. If you're domestic, send me an email. Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate it. So let's get right into it. And of course, disclaimer, there you go. This is financial entertainment. I hope you find educational, not financial advice. Think for yourself. Bitcoin, folks, hit 44,000. We left here on Thursday assessing the 1 hour time frame of, let's dial it back. Let's go to the Coinbase feed or the FTX. There's Coinbase. So this is where we were last week. And I said that this was a type 1. We said this was a type 2. Then we went through another type 1, type 2, type 1. Then the type 2 off of that smaller pattern. When we see these back-to-backs, especially in the PRZ, it definitely will take more time. Probably the thing I should have really been focusing on was the fact that the exact XA, I did talk about that from a minimal perspective, was hit. We did have HSI. I thought we would come down to the hop one more time. I really did. I thought we'd come back, maybe hit that hop, and then have something larger. But that's fine. And again, my angle on all of this, and it remains that a positive Bitcoin is great for altcoin, S-coin speculation, which we've seen a lot of those run substantially. Probably one of the better ones was Luna. We were on there at 50 area, just under 50. We're now 58. I think this has got some more room to run. 4 hour time frame. There you go. Those targets where we are, probably target 2 off of that last crab pattern puts you 60 and change, and then we'll take a look. What's happening with everybody out there? We're going to bust through crypto right now, and then we'll look at the markets, but I want to look at really crude oil, energy, what's going on there. But obviously, the hope of the day, the week, is Bitcoin. Thank you. There's a big Harmonic group in South Korea. That's great. Excellent. We're going to be doing something in the Philippines very soon. And it's great to see that. Great to see those specific communities, and I hope to develop more stuff and more resources in the native languages. We do have Spanish and Portuguese, Mandarin, a lot of translations. So that could be something that I pursue more this year. But thank you and welcome. So we're here Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, folks, about 11:30 or so. Just subscribe to the YouTube channel to get the notifications. We'll talk crypto again today, and then I do want to look at the energy market. But let's check out Luna. We'll check out, yeah, some of these other ones. That is, I think that's quite early, but you've sustained these deep corrections across the board in your favorite, most favorite of coins. Now, here's the thing that sticks out with something like Luna and some of the other ones that I'll feature today is looking at not only the M formation, but tell me about really the ABCD component. That's also been a big part of what we've seen. You know, what is crypto bouncing off of? What's down here? You have some big ABCDs in a lot of the markets on their daily time frames. The ones that got crushed the most, they're sitting down there at big 886s or have done full retest. I mean, a full 100%. Let me keep you guys in the loop. Thank you. So this is, for Luna, you're talking about a Gartley that's down at the 886. And certainly that pivot point low should be it for now, where you're looking for larger trend continuation. Minimum retest on this, and essentially a lot of the crypto that you're looking at is assessing a 382 bounce off of this low or whatever relative low you're dealing with. If it's Bitcoin, if it's Ethereum, they're pretty much already there and looking good. Plenty of time though. But these other ones, Luna, Polkadot. Here's Polkadot. I think I mentioned this a while back, but kind of surprising that it got as low as it did at 16. On the daily. All the way down here, look at that at 886 was almost exact. And that 382 bounce should get you back to 30 and change. A whole bunch of these are setting up like that. Look for the speculative bounces. The other one that I did mention probably was last Monday was Cardano. And here you go. Just, you know, all about the $1 level, all about these prior lows, and now up. I mean, it doesn't seem like it is, but it's up 20%. This little reaction low at from 90, it's more than 20%, but from 91 cents to basically $1.20 where we are. Yeah, more than 20%. I mean, that's exact high to low, no doubt, but we can look at this as a, what are the possibilities here? 382 in some kind of aggressive reactive bounce. That's all I'm saying here too. Reactions. Think reactions. And what should these reactions be? Fairly serial in manner, meaning continuous. Once they break out, you should see nice follow through to the next obvious retest pivot point. I mean, this again, these thoughts of measurement and how to assess price action, especially in crypto, can be applied to any of them. But just look for a static retest back to 160 as a minimum. A whole bunch of these have set up like this. And if we explode and Cardano finally catches a bid, then you'll know we got a larger potential here. I'm not there quite yet, but it's closer. Someone wanted to look at crypto.com. 32 to 49. Nice. Okay, what to do with this? Never got to the 886. This is a tough one because I think you have to go to a different data feed. Go to the crypto, the trading view, or actually go to the crypto.com. There you go. Although that's not it. I should go to the crypto.com data feed for the actual stock itself, or the coin itself. Crypto.com from, oh, they don't have it. That's why. Maybe perpetual. I'll take a look. I'll add these. Looks like they added more on this crypto.com data feed. But even on something like this that has more data, this was one we caught and we nailed on the top side to get out up at the 90 something cent area. And so what did it do? Basically one of those bizarre 707 pullbacks. There's your 707 there. Crypto.com is probably just in an ABCD uptrend here. If you're looking for targets, folks, in this recent reaction, this is another way to be assessing things when they get fairly clear. I mean, we can say that this is your A to B leg, thrust up, came back, and it on the C point now. All right, your D level is about 50 cents, and that ABCD as a minimum right off the bottom will tell you a great deal of how far that's going to go. That's something I want to talk about in a few of the structures today, of how the ABCD within the pattern type can actually tip off the proper levels. In this case, crypto.com, let's do an 8. Let's say this is still in a downtrend. Not to crush your hopes here, but let's just say that crypto.com is still in a downtrend, and even in the best of scenarios, you're going to hit the ABCD to finish this corrective wave. So you're almost there. Now, what you're hoping for is an explosion through these levels to where you get a larger move, maybe even then try to pop off of this low and do an 886 retest off of that prior high, that pivot high. Basically 62, 64 cents, 65. Those are the two scenarios I'd be looking at on crypto.com, and actually that's similar to a lot of this current recovery. Many of the coins that have finally come off of the holes that they were stuck in, crypto.com got crushed. At least that's the start of something that's better than going back to the full 886, I suppose. I did think that crypto.com, and I was in this and bailed out after on a final pullback after this thing really violated its 382. But I did think that this was still probably or recently as maybe a week or 10 days ago, I thought this was still kind of what you would look at for crypto.com. Full 886. We'll see. Something like that where I don't have anything quite yet on crypto.com. I do think it's one to watch because I think it's you did a really nice uptrend thrust off of, go all the way back to June, and I think that was the Coinbase, came on Coinbase, So if you go back to there, that 886, if in a catastrophe retest move would be about 20 cents. Not saying it's going there. You're at 50 at the moment. I just don't have anything. I would want to see maybe some kind of bat pattern, Gartley pattern develop here over the next, say, 30 days. Maybe come back, retest between 40 and 50, and then set up and go. Certainly keep your eye on it. I mean, I think there are many of these coins that have been annihilated that probably got pushed way too far to the downside. No matter what, from a trading perspective, capital allocation perspective, you're seeing that stuff like Zcash. Here's another one. Okay, I just think this is, you're going to get some kind of reaction because of the static support down here at around $90. And even if we're just utilizing the 886 as an approximation method, I mean, there's your 886, okay, on Zcash, around 110. It's not, oh, let me bring that back there. Okay, it just looked terrible going into that on this decline, but still cues you into where you want to at least start looking. Think of it this way. That all-time 886 was right here. And just draw a line. Draw an arrow, whatever. So this is ugly, and it was ugly, but I would certainly start looking after some kind of stabilization. And I think you did get some clear signs here on Zcash with that daily HSI check back, but that was around 91. Your 886 is at 110. So certainly a little sloppy, but that's okay for me, where stabilization, confirmation, I could suspect, can assume some kind of minimum reaction. Come back and give us a 382 reaction off the last swing. Something like this. And then back up. Zcash, that's 170, 170, 165. 170. And if we're going to use a 236, which is, I showed that in a couple instances a week or so ago. I don't use it too frequently, but it is something, if you're going to use it as like a minimum marker, that would be 139. But I prefer to use the 382 for measurable moves. Gala, yeah, I know a couple people asked me for that. A couple more. Yeah, your Gala. I know that's exploding. Gala is another one, actually, that sloppy 886 retest. Now, here's the thing on Gala and a lot of these that got new listings on major exchanges. They have come back to the 886s across the board. Something like Coinbase, major exchange like Coinbase that had a whole rash of new listings in the last 6 to 12 months. Here's Gala on, well, this is actually going to work out really nice, on just the Coinbase since inception, right there, right at the 886 for Gala. That was around 19 cents, just under 20. And did a huge reaction move after stabilization. So it is, your B point's at a 618 essentially. So that's kind of a marker for looking at a Gartley or considering that as a Gartley. There are some things, some measurements and couple of aspects about the Gartley that are different than the BAT. But even if you look at, say, trying to bring in an ABCD, A to B, C to D. Let me see if I can get that right. it still shows that the larger framework here, this of whatever that M formation is, the ABCD component, okay, doesn't fit up perfectly with the Gartley at the 786, but more like down here at the, at the 886 or even 1.0. That helps to tell you, okay, as an approximation method, why that might go further lower beyond the 886. There's Binance. That's a better feed across the board. This is why it's important, too, to look at multiple data feeds. Check out what we have on the Binance feed if we utilize all of their data. That's going to probably give you more of an insight. And then the 786, because that's at a 618. B points at a 618, you're looking at the 786. Because that lined up in that regard, you have a really nice type 1 reaction. Well, certainly, we're looking at the 382 response. Minimum 382 reaction. It's not going to happen in one day, but around 41 cents should be your minimum target. And it's doing so in a fairly serial day-over-day fashion, which is a nice sign. You want to see that continue. Also, your maximum upside target within this larger move would be a 618 move to 57. That's possible. Keep an eye on it. You want to see this thing continue. Maybe a pause, do an inside day, but 2 days. But this is the other thing I wanted to show. Amplified RSI is in the overbought, and we've seen this in many RSI charts on crypto with this last thrust. You have already hit the oversold, but you're expanding and you're just ripping right through it, which is a good sign. You want to see that continue. You need another 48 hours you want to see this thing up 5 days, 6 days in a row, 7 days in a row to really get a larger move cranking. If it doesn't, like let's say we retrace and we start to pull back tomorrow, or we don't follow through today, and this is for all crypto, then we're just looking at reaction here. Really critical. Many of the moves have done impressive kind of thrust. Here's FTM. That's another one. I think it's been one of the favorites, I suppose, but people have been asking me about this one. Okay, nice reaction. Basically, just a 618 up here. Crazy correction down. 70. But if you can get up on FTM, here's the reason why. If you can at least do something like this on FTM and many others that have set up like this, where, okay, XABC set up. Now, why the next 48 hours or so critical? Because you want to see this reaction bust at least above the prior high, which is you go back, what is this, just 2 weeks ago. You want to see that bust out above the prior high. So just from a static structural standpoint, that would then eventually trigger something larger. But we're only dealing with this segment for now. And in many of the crypto that you're looking at, you need to get above that B point. What else? Cosmos. Yeah, that was something else I think caught my attention recently. That got crushed down to what, 20? That was 50. Wow, that's actually done a couple of moves here. Here's a better chart, longer term, on Coinbase. Now, let's just take a look at the last, say, 60 days. You do have HSI confirmation. we've had that across the board on a lot of that, a lot of the altcoins, and then Ethereum, Bitcoin triggered HSI on the last collapse, really mid third week of January. But look at Cosmos like this. You do have an M formation. Where's your B point? At a 45%. So normally, I, of course, would look down as low as the 886 on this one, around 22 bucks. But we could also, just for now, think of it this way. We could also say, well, let's look off of that low. What's that line up to be? And is there anything there? Meaning maybe it's this 886. Maybe it's a tighter configuration. Keep an eye. Cosmos has been one of the stronger ones, and still that took a 50% correction haircut twice in the last quarter, 90 days. I think a few others that you should really kind of pay attention to are, let me go over to Solana right here. Now that's taken down really as low as 80. Also Solana, here's the last HSI confirmation at 81 back on the 24th of January. There was no check back there. There was nothing there. Let's just keep an eye on it. I would want to see something develop in Solana, not only just stop going down, but give us some kind of formation stabilization off of the top of what this was, which was an ABCD. So Solana, right here, right off the top, your A to B looks like that. There's your C point at a 50%. Then your D point comes all the way down pretty much at a 200% exactly. All around 87. Now we might get one more retest off of Solana, but this is important. This simple ABCD is probably more significant because it comes at a point that is off of the larger long-term retracement. It's not ideal. If you go off of this, go off the July low from last year, it's something like maybe like that, where your B point would be at a 50, C's at a 55, and then it didn't get all the way down to the 886. All right, and I think of it like that, where you're stabilizing. Okay, I've not taken a position, but this is how I'm looking at Solana for a potential entry against this ABCD. I don't think it's coming down to the 886. It's not going to do the large collapse. We see it because mainly the number of bars. The number of bars that we have spent going sideways, really a good sign here. The better part of 2 weeks now. Plenty of time to size this thing up. Because my guess is more of about the weekly. And if we take a look at that and think, okay, Solana's got a lot of things going on. It's stabilizing right at that weekly ABCD. Price action, ideal. Ideal individual bar reversal at that ABCD, which for me, I would say this is then probably a weekly ABCD continuation where I would look for this to make a larger run back to retest the all-time high over time. But it's early in the process. But you go off the all-time move for something like Solana, okay, matches up with, there's not a pattern or anything that you can go off of, which from a larger perspective with that other ABCD tells me that this thing likes to take on ABCD character. That maybe this is the ABCD completion for a larger ABCD. It's just a thought. But that would be something I would consider, which, for Solana, somewhere around $100. could be the area from a long-term perspective that this thing pivots out. Keep an eye on it. That's the one. Instead of saying Ethereum, or I haven't even looked at Ethereum, but let's go to Ethereum really quick. I prefer sizing something like that up over Ethereum. Ethereum, check this out. Let me remove all the drawings. Let's start over. Okay, Ethereum, we were looking at the 886 of this last swing. Did not get there. It was 2000. And we were still waiting for that. The breakout on the weekly bar from Sunday, really critical. Look at the last couple of days. That's this thing, once it started to turn around and break out, doing a larger reaction. Now, that's fine. Again, I think even if something like Ethereum in this downtrend, I would still want to see something else shape up here. There's zero pattern, zero structure, and that's okay. I think like the others, like Solana, you probably have to stretch it out more to the weekly to see what could be this. What could this be responding off of? I can't find a pattern on. Software is not generating anything. Software really was telling me, under 3,600, this thing was a problem, and it did the big swoosh down. Now it's the recovery, but your pivot low there off of, basically it was an all-time 50% correction. Doesn't give me much other than to say, all right, maybe we come back like everything else and do a minimum 382 or another 50 back to maybe 3,600. But not a lot of things to go on with Ethereum. That's critical to point out. I did want to mention, okay, so I was on Mitch Ray's stream, and I mentioned two that are, S coins extraordinaire that I'm speculating on, that I'm long. Here's this Gitcoin, and I think this is example of, if you really want to look for, I like to say this, folks, in the market, we're looking to find gems, undiscovered gems. And sometimes that can be gems tomorrow is junk today. And I think that's really, kind of what we're looking at a lot of the S coins. We're looking for opportunities to buy crypto junk on sale as we define it, which is come down to the 886. If you're down at an all-time 886, which is what I call full reset, which Gitcoin is, and I've mentioned Gitcoin since $12 or $14, saying wait for the opportunity. Well, there's the opportunity. And so that's one of several where, even from a trade perspective, a 382 bounce puts you back around 15. That's a real nice chunky move. Something larger, we'll see, but probably that's how you play this reaction. And that's all these are. The other one I mentioned, this is the this XYO. This is starting to move. This actually was much lower. Here you are. This one came all the way back down to the 1.0. It's on Coinbase. That whole speculative move came all the way back. Everyone got sold out. That was out. And now, there's my doink. And now this is stabilized for, look, how many days here. Now, there's a couple other things going on that I'm not going to get into that are happening. But even just, let's be simple about it, draw a trend line. This is one of these type of S coins that, again, it's let's not sugarcoating it. This is speculation. I'm looking for a speculative percentage bounce. Okay, so don't get caught up in the price. This is going to go from 2 cents to $1. No. If we go from 2 something to 4 something, That's a great move. It would go from 2 something to 5 or 6 something. That's a huge move. 2 cents to 6 cents. And do it in kind of a speculative bounce move. Your 382 is about 4.5. That's how to be thinking within the framework. Think about the minimums. Okay, as think of this as a trade. Okay, and who knows? All I'm saying is these are deeply oversold, and you want to be looking at a lot of these in the same regard. Here's a good one. YFII. Oh no, YFI. That's the other one that came out. Here's the YFI though. Another one. Deep, sitting down at an 886. This one does have, trace this out. I think I mentioned this back a while back of this bat formation right at the 886. 21.8. Also, your weekly chart. Oh, the daily. Well, here's the weekly. Again, it did that crazy move up to 95,000, all the way back down. Where's the 886? 886 is right. Oh, that hit 17.5. I could probably check a couple of feeds. It came within a stone's throw. Again, 382 bounce puts you sizably up at, go back to 45.50. Just at a 382 bounce, folks. I think you're at that point where you're retesting a lot of prior all-time lows. You have a lot of evidence of at least stabilization. And from a trading perspective, as I've been saying for weeks, with Bitcoin up, that's positive to speculate in these other markets. I will check the, thanks for sending me that, Mr. Lodak, and I will check that email again. Let me make sure if you didn't get that book by now. You should have got the book by now. Even if you're in Europe, the people that were in Europe are now starting to get the books, which is what? Almost 2 months. Couple more. Alice, sure. I'll do Alice and I'll do BAT. Yeah, BAT. And they're both on the top of my list. So BAT, that's one I'm in as well. I mentioned that last week. This thing, again, came back to big 886s. Look at it like this. That's your weekly chart, by the way. If that's the absolute low for BAT, 886 on BAT is 60 cents essentially. I think on the daily, it was daily, or there was something here on the daily or the 4-hour. I think there was a crab that looked like this. One 618. Let me look at Alice. Oh, I know what BAT was. BAT was this. BAT was this big Gartley. If we go back here, that went down to the hop at around 70 cents. Hold on, bear with me. There it is. Okay, sorry. Here was BAT. It was, I know it was a retest of a big hop at 70, a crab, a couple of things. Your targets on BAT are basically 97 where you are, but as high as 115, which I think is where it goes in this reaction. The Alice chart, amazing how that thing was, like a lot of them did their huge move and came back. So could this thing then, and look at Alice. That was at 28, all the way back down to 5 and change. This is, even if it doesn't have anything, and there really isn't much here yet for something like Alice, but you start looking. I mean, there's your 886. 886 is essentially $6. You're now 950. That small bump is a 50% reaction already off of a swing 886. That's what I'm trying to really explain, that these are on sale. You're at the reaction area for a lot of 886 levels and support. Bitcoin, that's what happened there. Bitcoin, all Bitcoin's doing, folks, is reacting off of its 886. And hey, this could be the start of some kind of larger development, but there it is. I mean, your 886 is 33K. To be exact, what is it? 33,400. And what now, without a doubt, for Bitcoin to do a 382 move back to 47 as a minimum harmonic retracement wouldn't surprise me for a bit. And have it be pretty reactive too. So do keep that in mind. And if you were looking for, if you were super optimistic, your 618 retracement would be around 55, 56,000. And again, I don't think so. I think the 382, let's stay conservative. Your 382 at 47 and change, and then come back and do a retest. But that would be the first reaction, sure. Okay, one more. ICP. Weren't we mentioning that too? Has that moved? ICP, total chart on Binance. Well, I think it's basing, but let's get a better chart. Let's trading view. Yeah, have to just look at, say, the last, I don't know, 90 days. Maybe look at this as, show me something after it hits the 1.0, or show me what it's doing after this. The rest of it to the left of the chart all last year, essentially irrelevant. It's essentially, there's your 886. What's it doing at that 886? Is there anything down here? Well, you do have kind of a shark, which is, okay, sets you up for something to be looking at. I think your 113, that's your max level, folks, on the shark, is at $20. You might, I wouldn't be surprised if you got a retest of $20 or $21, something like that. I think it's maybe the start here of at least something, but take a look at this. Let's say if we were going to assume that's an 886 shark, which you have a 1618 and you have your 886, that's at 32. But when you hit that level, terminal bar where it stops is all the way down there at 23. That's probably your number, 23 or 24. You have to get above that to really do anything substantial. The other thing about ICP, you could get a reaction off of there, but you have to get out of the downtrend. And we've seen there are other ones that are like this that are trying to bust out of the downtrend, but they're to the right of the downtrend channel. That's what you want to be looking for. Something like, here's this keep. Was it keep? No, KNC. Sorry. Go to the weekly. This thing is held up. I mentioned this one as even as something as a static. This one was actually rising when the market was still going down. But this is more in the type of position you want to see the crypto. Look for, if you're looking at your favorite crypto or whatever it is that you know you feel like, hey, this is a good market from a technical perspective, you want to see this thing do the correction and then bust out to the right of the downtrend and give you a signal to the right, then go. This KNC actually definitely has put in the work necessary to at least to start to give you a W formation and then possibly bust an 886 retest. I was saying that, I think, about Gala and a couple of the others. Look for these formations, folks, and it's critical on this move, as I said, that if you're going to see anything other than a reaction, you have to bust above the B points in these W formations. Other than that, you'll just bounce against the upside resistance at 250. But still, you're 199 right now, so there's still, room to bounce between the ranges. Yeah, we're going to move over to the crude oil. Tomorrow, we'll get into a few others that I want to look at into detail, like Link and LRC and some others that I think are, are we at a major inflection here? Is that the low for Bitcoin? Are we going to see something better? It wasn't the capitulation I wanted, but it's constructive. And always, there's plenty of time, folks. So if you think you missed Bitcoin or Ethereum, I think we will see another 50% correction someday soon. So let me go over quickly to crude oil charts and, hey, look at where's the UK that I was looking at the UK chart last week. Oh, UK oil went negative right now. This is what I'm looking at to start the week. Beautiful uptrend. I think we're higher than I thought we would be at this point. We did form HSI reading on, this is Brent crude, where we just hit the HSI, registered that on Friday, and checked back this morning, 93.50 on the 5-minute, 93.35. 1 second, let me check something. I gotta look at something on my side. Where'd that go? Okay, good. So I want to see what happens this week. Do we roll over? It's still early. But crude oil is at that point, and I said this in a tweet on Friday, that I no longer want to think about anything but all-time new highs on crude oil. You can go to even things like, where is it? There it is. ExxonMobil. Oh, geez, I see XRP's running. We'll come back to that in a second. Look, ExxonMobil, folks, is this going to go to new all-time highs? Let me go to the monthly chart. Because that's really the only thing left. This is also doing the type of, giving you the type of character where you do get the home run move. A lot of people have asked me in the past, how do you separate these kind of reactions versus when you know something's just going to hit a pattern and go? It's not easy. All right. And usually what you're going to see is a big thrust move that continues. Even with ExxonMobil, we're at target 2 already and we're sailing past it in a strong fashion. The fact that, and it's a subtle fact, but the fact that the HSI trigger on this first move, it did not happen above target 1. It happened a fraction below target 1. Is a little nuance that does matter. If this HSI signal was, say, 60, the target one level is about 59. Was it 59.92? 59.50? 59.82. But the HSI trigger was 59.17. Okay, that's not, we want to see that HSI arrow either above or in between here. So by definition, that has not even registered an HSI. I think I mentioned this last week that the monthly HSI on ExxonMobil, remarkably strong. And that the integrated oils, pretty much the best place to play this move. Chevron, Exxon, Big Cap Energy, XLE. Here's XLE up again, hitting 70. So the important thing, takeaway of where we are for crude oil is that the fact we're accelerating at a point where we should be retesting, maybe hitting some resistance or a pause, is a huge sign. And that's also something I think most people do realize after spending, a fair amount of time, a few months or a year or two with the patterns, that certain levels have tremendous significance, more so than other general spots. In this case, here's XLE with a bat pattern off the low. We're about to hit that around 73 bucks. But we are accelerating off of this low. So XLE, Exxon, and a lot of them have earnings coming up in the next 2 weeks. This stuff accelerates. If this is like a blowout earnings quarter, and then we get a supply shock of some sort, yeah, folks, there's nothing for these until the all-time highs, and that's how I would look at that. Take it in chunks, where ExxonMobil trading or XLE trading 70. A minimum retest of this historic resistance is $90. And that's the XLE. It's probably one of the most conservative ways to play it. So that, again, I think, is, if crude oil, something else to consider about all of this. Okay, even despite the inflation aspect, if crude oil is going to continue, or it looks like it's going to rocket higher, that's good for the markets. Ultimately, that will support the markets. I think you just have massive rotation at the moment. Now, I want to show one or two other oil update oil plays. Here's MRO, folks. Marathon has been accelerating. We've been in front of this for a long time. Not that I'm saying that this is something anyone should jump into if you're not into this, but a lot of people are in this. A lot of people in the Facebook group got into this at 8 or 9. That I just wanted to show this ABCD currently posted that long-term resistance at around 24.96, 25 bucks would be the target on this move. We have earnings coming up for this and many others. When's earnings? The 15th. What do I want to see for this to trigger something larger? Would be a blowout through that 24 25 level. You were as high as 22 this morning. And I am long this, by the way, and I will stay long. I've traded it at various points along the way, but I've maintained a fairly sizable position for me. And I will look for 24 and hope that what happens is we blow it out and, gap up, gap through, something happens on earnings to the point where then all I'm really looking at, and here's the weekly, and this is the reason why we've been into Marathon and a lot of the other oils, is because they had these huge patterns. That target 2 off of this crab, so there's your target 1, type 1 reaction, came back down, now finish the consolidation for the type 2 reversal, and that's defined as target 2. So the two considerations here is, yes, we have an ABCD back-to-back kind of harmonic pattern relationship that helps to tell me that, yeah, that needs to be retested. That little pattern, sure. But target 2 off of this crab pattern gives me evidence that maybe even as high as 2860. So this is something that took the better part of last year to really, even though it made a lot of progress, it's only been in the last few weeks this has accelerated in a new fashion, new manner, new character is probably the best word, and run the trend line off of that low where, look, I'll run this up to 24, maybe as high as 29, and see what happens. If I didn't have any of the bearish patterns, I would just think, okay, this crab pattern should be the big pattern, big bullish pattern that sets off the whole new cyclical run. And if we're going to retest the all-time highs, well, 886 again. I think I mentioned this too. It actually has a shark in development. And go up to your 886 with a 1618 and basically a 90. But all of that's around $40. I want to post that because we've got a lot of videos that show essentially where we first identified this, which was way back here. And that this stuff takes time, but you still have to apply the framework and walk it through step by step. Now that we have these larger targets, this thing has really proven itself. I will look for the acceleration. I'm looking for this acceleration literally this month, literally into and through that earnings. One or two more, folks. NRGU for a leveraged oil play. Let me see. I don't know what that is. Oh, that's crypto energy. No, I don't. Look, I don't. Crypto energy stuff. I know that they're doing a lot of these coins that are mimic other markets, but I don't like that. I think for this oil move, folks, I think the really easy way is to get exposure. If you don't have any exposure to oil, I mean, if you don't own any stocks, even though it's a little late at this point, get it on your radar of Chevron, CVX. It's another one I've talked about for a while. I own it. Look at that. All the way at the hop off that Gartley. Amazing. Is that an all-time new high? I think Chevron's at an all-time new high. Wow. Chevron is at an all-time new high. And I think this is probably the poster child of a wake up in the oil industry. This is absolutely amazing. We're at the hop of this Gartley. Beautiful Gartley structure on the weekly going back to 2018. But what's happening here is a complete annihilation, type 1 failure, which is probably the most difficult of all, to fail immediately. We have a pause. Let's look at the PRZ. Look, potential reversal zone set up right there at 117. There's terminal bar with confirmation, and you pause for 6-7 weeks and then break out. This is an important concept. The harmonic completes there. Terminal bar. That's the bar that hits all the numbers in the zone, the last number in the zone to officially mark where the pattern completes. Tell me what happens there and to the right of the bar. It helps to say, okay, what happens going into the zone, but as soon as that hits, what's going on to the right? Green candle, bearish candle, but higher green candle, Sideways inside, red candle, green candle, breakout, failure. And I know I mentioned this before. Uh, Maybe it was on Exxon or XLE that once that's the failed point. Once that breaks out in that such a strong fashion, that's your failure point. That's where you put your stops. If you were trying to short this off the Gartley, you're stopped out above that prior high and certainly on the close. Okay, because at that point with that kind of candle, the only thing left is the hop, and you're at the hop now, above the hop. Let's see what it does this week. Strong close above that hop level. That's a major failure. Not to mention, I wouldn't even look at it until HSI comes out of the zone and look at your indicators. HS Amplified is expanding, and HSI will take probably 2 or 3 more weeks until that does. A breakout, a continuation. That's significant, folks. Does anyone really think crude oil is going to stop on a dime and start going down into a bear market? Anyone? Exactly, Ziggy. It's too strong. NRGU is an ETN. I think, look, I think something like Chevron shows you the kind of what's behind this move in crude oil. It's bigger. It's attracting a lot of investment dollar to send Chevron to all-time new highs. The other thing about this, which is, relates to today about wanting to just kind of highlight ABCD patterns inside of harmonic patterns, why they're so critical. Look at what happens with this ABCD pattern. Off of the low, the COVID low sets up. There's A to B, C to D, at basically a 141. Everything was right there at that 116, 117 level. A very nice ABCD. But again, the failure. Couldn't even break down. Couldn't get a 3 bar. Couldn't get any kind of move, even violate the trend line. With that nice ABCD tells you, hey, this ABCD is not a continuation. If this was going to be kind of a bear market continuation, that would be typically the place to look. Some kind of major ABCD off the low, and then you go down again, but that's not what happened. And now you're threatening the hop. You should have done that. You should have come down to at least 92. Nope. In this way, you took out the prior pattern. Not to mention, you're taking out a lot of resistance up here for a third. This is the third test in the last 10 years. That third test, usually you don't have 3 tests. That's why these markets are so critical. Again, the energy in general is playing catch up, and a lot can happen in this short period of time. Here's another one that I think is worth a real hard look. I'm in it. I think we have to go to the monthly. It's down here. This is Transocean. This is Rig. Maybe daily. What was down here? Oh, there it is. Sorry, it was a daily, and this just completed back in December, but working off of a really nice setup to possibly get this going. And this is more speculative. Alternate bat down there around 260. But check out the other levels here around 460 that even if this thing, you've got crude oil pressing higher, it's not retracing. Speculative oil plays make sense to even go back and retest prior highs. Now, Transocean, this is one that got crushed when oil did collapse, but take a look. The only thing you need to ask yourself, is it going out of business? That's ugly. Why would I be fishing down there? Does that make any sense at all? If I'm looking for a major speculative thrust, it's stuff like that that does move. Where if this goes from 354 to 10 on a percentage basis, that's a nice sizable move. I mean, you could even do like that. Be aware that this whole crude oil thing is really something, is like something like Chevron is showing us that it's early. It hasn't even really started. That's the problem with a lot of the current the companies in the energy sector. They were so crushed that they needed a couple of years just to go sideways. And now looks like these things are going to try to make a higher low. Let me look at, here's Transocean. Just look at the last 60 days. It's pretty much all you need to know. Again, looking for this. Maybe we get a retest. Maybe if this comes back to 3, it'd be great. Come back to 330. But I don't know, because this thing is already starting to ramp up. And if we get other breakouts, Chevron, Exxon, and the major oil announcements come in and the earnings break out, stuff like this is going to flood, where this goes back to 5 in a heartbeat. Yeah. I mean, this was as low, almost went bankrupt at 50 cents at the COVID low. But you got to think that that's not even really that's just the throwdown capitulation. And I could see something like, all right, simple recovery off the low, maybe do some kind of ABCD like this. A, B, C, D up to, 2.0, around $7. Things like that are coming together. I'm going to have more of these tomorrow. I think it's really time to look at these and speculate. Here's here's another one that's somewhat related. I brought this up, this UEC, Uranium Energy Corp. This one just triggered on the daily for HSI with a check back. And not a great structure. I'll go over to the 4-hour chart here in a second. But I've been waiting for this thing to come in for a while. And if energy in general is going to start to run, things like this will continue. So this is UEC. It's a way to play uranium. Keep an eye on it. Just got an HSI trigger. You guys hold me to that too. Keep an eye on these and Tesla, the solar stocks. I mean, if energy starts moving, it's going to push its way into the rest of the market. What happened to natural gas today? I think they got pumped into that cold snap. Natural gas is super volatile, folks. Bring this up. Here's nat gas. But I still like it. Nat gas down. It was up 10%, down 10% 2 days. Yeah, guess what? It's a type 2. Come back for the full type 2. Maybe that did a type 2. Did that do the type 2 on that contract? You're back down. Look, support's at 391 on the futures contract, but go to UNG. This is, there you go. This has support around 14. What is it? It's, let me go here. There's a big pattern. I think it's either weekly. Yeah, there it is. It's the weekly deep crab. We hit target 1 off of this UNG. Back in, what was that? Back in October? Did we get down to the XA? 1071. No, we fell just shy. Look, I'm ready, waiting, wanting to pounce on nat gas companies, nat gas UNG, the ETF. Here's another one here's LNG. Cheniere Energy, they're the biggest liquid natural gas manufacturer. This is, yeah, this thing is just rocking. That's an incredibly aggressive uptrend on the weekly. All right, there you go. That's the kind of thing I want to see. You had an ABCD right there at the end of December on LNG. Keep an eye on that. The other one is EOG. Yeah, these are amazing that these are up and the spot price of nat gas is not. And I think nat gas is way suppressed. So keep an eye on that. And, you know, Boyle, that's the ETF. That's been all over the place. But again, I think it's just pausing to do the next leg. This one had a bat pattern, didn't it? Maybe on the 4-hour chart. I know it's somewhere around 30 bucks. Yeah, there it is. This Gartley, your hops around 34. I would just look for, okay, so it's getting the snot kicked out of it right now, but HSI is oversold. These are the places we want to be looking for on the pullbacks. Not a problem. I don't have a problem with that. Nat gas is getting set to do the next leg where it does go above the prior highs. I think, you know, Boyle gets back to 80 or 90. It's going to take time and it's going to stair step. We'll stay on top of it. We really will. I think energy, we need to just kind of watch that now day to day. Because what? If it goes to 100 a barrel, psychologically, I think that's what people want to see. Really quick, tomorrow we'll get into those ETFs and the major indices, but someone's asking about the SPY, so let me just, not too bad like it was last week, but here's the SPY. Daily time frame, folks, remember, we have a few things going on. We had the auto-generated crab pattern. It did the 1-2, but someone's asking about the 5-0. Let's take it step back here. What happened preceding this was a shark. A shark at basically almost exactly the 113. Okay, that sets you up nicely. Gave us what? Well, shark went to a 5-0. This is the SPY, by the way. So, and it went as high as the 618, which is definitely the top end that you want to see. So for everyone to consider, if you're short SPY, it better not take out that current B point. That should be it. And what we should see is possibly the start of like a W construction, come down to the 618, around 435 maybe, or maybe just go to the 50, back down here on the 50 level. Something like that. Do a little pullback now, and then give us a Gartley like that. That, connecting the dots would really set you up for the kind of, if you wanted to see this thing sell off, well, give it a Gartley. But it needs to do a lot more work. The other thing to think about of what happened 2 weeks ago, folks, is that if it was going to crash, it would have done it then. Would have done it then and there. And it didn't. So give it more time. Yeah, let's wrap it up with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's still running now well above 44,000, which go. Right? And again, I want Bitcoin to stir the pot. I want people to think, okay, it's safe to get back into crypto now. Because I want them to speculate their butts off on all those altcoins that were knocked out 88% and are now going to have to run 200, 300% just to get back to even or get back to half of what they lost. These moves were great. You got too far on the downside. Now, all right, let's go back. That's what the market does. Swings from overextended on the sell side, overextended on the upside. One other one, folks, before I get out of here, BNB coin. Now, I like it more in terms of as like a barometer for what to look at. But again, look at the bat. This was a successful bat. X to A. B point out of 50, right? Right on the money. B point out of 50 goes to the 886. And then look what happens thereafter. On the day that it hits the 886, it stabilizes. That's the low, gives you confirmation. Now you go. And this is still in a downtrend off of the low. Look, you can draw your trend like that. Maybe an accelerated downtrend like that, but you can see it's starting to make progress. And like all of them, folks, we just want to do this. Go your high to low, whatever that is, and look for 382s. That's 460 and change, or as high as a 618. Just do that range. Look at those zones, and that's a really strong harmonic because again, when you bring in the ABCD component, you not only just have the ideal bat conditions here, but you also have that big A to B, C to D come all the way down as a minimum move right there to support the bat. So there's a lot there. It's not just some random stretched out structure. There's some real solid formations that these are finally responding from. So hey, Mr. Lodak, I will take a look. I will have Miss Stephanie contact you and get back to you. But look, let's just stay with the Bitcoin reaction theory. That's all I care about. Bitcoin reacting, going higher is supportive for the entire market. Speculate in the other coins, trade it, don't hodl it. The Bitcoin opportunity, the real opportunity for Bitcoin will come. It will come in some kind of the form of a retracement pattern or retest of the 886 or who knows, maybe we'll eventually even go back down a retest. There's other better opportunities in other spaces, and I'm going to stay with that until I see something big in Bitcoin to where it will set up to run. But for now, this is good stuff. Stick with it. Join me tomorrow, folks. I'll be back around 11:30. Bring your questions, comments, and we will bring. That's a good question for tomorrow, Fishhead. Fishhead says, how do you layer out? It all depends on type 1, type 2. Type 1's usually automatic, so maybe that's a good point for conversation tomorrow. Please come back and bring that, and we'll talk about that and other things. Thanks again, folks. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. And as always, go get 'em.